Why do so many women struggle with their body image, while men often seem more self-assured about theirs? Are you one of us who spend their 20s, 30s, and 40s judging your face and body in the mirror and wondering why it never felt enough? Have you spent your life chasing pretty, feeling unhappy while men age into maturity with beer bellies, gray hair, and a confidence over the roof? Who told women to hate their bodies from a young age? Welcome back to episode 5. Today, we will talk about body image and aging gracefully or not. How to love our bodies in a society obsessed with youth and beauty standards for women. How does this body image shape our identity through the years? And why, at the same time, are men allowed to age like a potato and be proud of it? So far in this series, we have talked about who we are now in our 40s and our identity in various layers. The masks we wear, the roles we play, the careers we contort ourselves into, the expectations we swallow, and the timelines we chase trying to be enough. And underneath all these layers of identity, there is the physical body that carries us through decades. The truth is, we cannot talk about identity in our 40s without confronting the body image war we have been since girlhood. Our body is the home we live in, dance in, cry in. The home that holds our story through decades before we even had the words to tell them. Our body image starts with our physical body and what we see in the mirror, but it is shaped by so much more. I want to begin with a sad story. It helps frame the conversation ahead. I witnessed something quietly heartbreaking one day. I was at the gym, just done with my workout, and headed to the showers. Next to me stood a beautiful little girl, like a doll, maybe 8, maybe 12, somewhere in that range. She hadn't even developed any of typical feminine features yet. No breasts, no curves, nothing. She had a big makeup bag in front of her, carefully dabbing and brushing her face with different things. At first I thought, what could she possibly need? Her skin is perfect. It was just a passing thought. I went into the steam room, took my shower, and when I came back, the little girl was still there. Still standing in front of the mirror, still applying layer after layer. I dried my hair, put on my eye cream and sunscreen, my grown woman essential. She was still there. At that point, I couldn't look away. I was shocked. I stood there, caught in my thoughts. I generally hate being nosy, but I was thinking, should I say something? Should I tell her she's beautiful as she is? That she doesn't need all that? But then it hit me. It's not her fault. It is the world she's growing up in. A world that teaches little girls so early that their worth is on their face. That beauty needs to be built, corrected, and enhanced, even when they haven't even finished growing. And I realized no comment from me could undo what society has already told her. No kind words could reverse what society has whispered into her self-image. So I didn't say anything, not out of indifference, but out of heartbreak. Because that moment wasn't just about her. It was about all of us. About what we have been taught. About what we have believed. About how early the world starts rewriting the story of our bodies and our worth. This is what society does to women from very, very young age. It doesn't just sell insecurity, it creates it. It points at our beauty and calls it a flaw. then offers to fix it for a price. So this episode is not about fitness goals or health hack in the 40s. We will have another episode on health later on in the series. This episode is about how we have been taught to see ourselves through a lens that was never ours way before we got to our 40s. A lens warped by beauty standards, industries, and insecurities that were handed down to us like heirlooms. Today, we are here to reflect on the mirror, not to fix the reflection, but to finally recognize the woman in that mirror. We are coming for the real villain, society's warped lens on women's bodies. Because far too long, the world has treated women's body like public property, to be judged, poked, stretched, filtered, lifted, erased, and monetized. This is the image that society gave us, and we are finally taking back the image in our 40s. Let me be clear. This isn't about feeling cute or self-care Sundays. This is about how our bodies, our first homes, were turned into battlefield, business plans, and branding tools. Because the world didn't just tell us to be beautiful. It told us we are broken, then built trillion-dollar industries to sell us the fix. They created the insecurity, then monetized the solution. And they have been feeding off our self-doubt like parasites ever since. By what we have been told to fix, shrink, smooth, or hide by society standards. And here is the truth no one says out loud. We live in a world of double standards, where men can grow beer bellies, wear hoodies from college, and still walk around like they are God's gift. So much empty self-confidence. But women, we are expected to maintain tight skin, zero cellulite, not even a polite layer of fat over the years. Or worse, measured in smoothness, flatness, tightness. Our bodies, monetized. Billion-dollar brands profit off one thing, women doubting themselves. We have to understand that every insecurity is a sales pitch. The beauty industry isn't responding to demand. It creates the demand. It points at our pores, our thighs, our smile lines, and calls them problems. Then sells us the fix. Every time we ask, do I look okay? Every time we stare at the mirror, picking ourselves apart, that's revenue for them. That's power in their pocket. We weren't born questioning our reflection. We were trained, conditioned, filtered by ads, distorted by influencers, bombarded by algorithms. And the biggest factor? The lens society places in front of our eyes. Because beauty standards aren't facts, they are trends. What's praised in one decade is punished in another. We don't see our bodies clearly. We see them through a distorted lens made of ads, filters, magazine, and generational shame. So no matter what our body actually looks like, we were likely taught to question it. In this episode, we are diving into how our body image is shaped through decades. Not just by our bodies themselves, but by everything the world reflects back at us. Because here is the thing. We cannot talk about our identity in 40s without talking about our connection to our bodies. Let me tell you a story about myself. A few years ago, I was in my late 20s. And I went for a facial because I had always dealt with acne problems. The lady turned on that awful bright light, you know, the one that makes your soul want to retreat into your pores. She leaned into my face, pointed at my neck, and said, "Do you see these two lines on your neck? What have you done to your skin? You have ruined it." I was stunned. For real? This was the first time in my life I even noticed these two lines. I came in for acne treatment, and suddenly I'm being blamed for destroying my skin. I walked out of that spa, devastated. Went home, started scrolling through old pictures, trying to trace these two lines that she had pointed out. When did they happen to me? What did I do wrong? And guess what? As much as I traced back on the pictures I had, I figured I was born with them. They are literal birthmarks. I had lived for over 20 years without giving them a second thought. Until some stranger flashed a spotlight on my skin and made me feel ashamed of something that was always there. This is what I mean by society gives us our body image. That esthetician didn't know my story and clearly didn't care to. I have spent decades dealing with health issues, and acne has been one of the lifelong symptoms. So yes, I have taken damn good care of my skin. This is the best it has ever been, and this is the best I could have managed. But instead of offering support for my real issue, she decided to throw judgment around and build new ones, all to sell a few more facial sessions. No thanks. I didn't go there to be ashamed. I went for skincare, not self-esteem crisis. So I walked out and never looked back. But since that day, whenever I look in the mirror, I see these two lines. That's what this system does. It teaches us to doubt what we were born with, to hate what makes us unique, to pathologize our faces and bodies. Body image goes far deeper than appearance, especially when someone's body has been through years of health challenges, pain, or trauma. In other words, the way someone sees their body isn't just about what they look like on the outside, skin deep. It's shaped by everything they have been through to stay alive, stay strong, or keep going. Body image isn't just about how you look. It is built from everything you have lived through. When someone has survived chronic illness, hormonal chaoses, or medical gaslighting, their relationship with their body is shaped by resilience, scars, and the battle to reclaim trust in themselves. It's not just about beauty, it's about survival. Now that you have the backstory, let's look back at the body image through the decades of our lives. Let's start at the beginning. Our body is in our 10s. Before we knew anything about beauty, we were just girls. Soft knees, scabby elbows, wild hair, big laughter. Our bodies were for running, climbing, dancing, and just being, until one day they weren't. Suddenly, we were told to cover up, to sit differently, to cross your legs, to be aware of our bodies, of boys, of eyes watching. Puberty didn't arrive with a guide, just confusion and shame. Our bodies started changing before we even understood what was happening, and society. It rushed to fill in the silence with rules. Too flat, too curvy, too fast, too slow. No matter what our bodies did, they were wrong. If we developed too early, we were stared at, teased, sexualized. If we didn't, we were mocked, pitied, left out. And no one said, "You're okay. Your body is not the problem. Everybody is different. There is no normal." Instead, we learned to look at ourselves through someone else's eyes. Usually critical, usually male, always watching, and let's be honest. If you made it through puberty without acne, painful periods, or hormonal chaos, you were one of the few lucky ones. The rest of us, we began fighting with our reflection before we even had words for why. That was the beginning of body image. Not self-love, but self-surveillance. Then came our 20s, when our bodies literally turned into a business. Our 20s were supposed to be fun, young, wild, free, right? Wrong. Our 20s were a pressure cooker. We were constantly told, this is your prime, don't waste it. Translation, look hot, stay thin, be successful, but not too intimidating. Be sexy, not slutty. Be cool, but still want marriage. Basically, be everything all at once without complaining. And all the while, let's talk about the male gaze. Do you know what's exhausting? Being raised in a world where your worth depends on how desirable you are, to men who age like forgotten patio furniture and somehow still think they are the prize. We were told our power was in being wanted, but never thought how to want ourselves. So we performed. Our bodies became marketing tools. Our beauty became currency. We weren't just judged, we were priced. And while we were bending over backwards to fit into some fantasy, the men we dated were out there wearing old hoodies, covering their fat ass, and calling it a personality. No pressure, no expectations, just vibes. But we were constantly told to try harder, smile more, be less. The worst part, we believed it. We internalized it. And we lost touch with the actual truth. That our sex appeal isn't for men, it's ours. It's not a tool to get attention. It's an energy, a fire, a life force. But society didn't want us to know that. Because a woman who owns her power doesn't buy her worth in bottles, diets, designer labels, or other people's acceptance. Let's follow the money. Who profits from all this pressure on women? The beauty industry, the fashion industry, the wellness industry, all building $1 billion empire by telling women, not quiet, fix this, lift that, shrink here, glow there. We weren't insecure by accident. We were programmed to be through the years. Because an insecure woman is a repeat customer. A woman at war with her reflection will spend endlessly. Society just found a way to turn our self-doubt into its profit. And this isn't just about our 20s. It's the setup, the grooming, the foundation for every double standard that smacks us even harder in our 30s, where aging becomes a crime for women, and the rules only get tighter. Meanwhile, every part of us was being turned into a product: our face, our waist, our skin, our hair, all marketed back to us as not good enough. With all said, you would think that is a good thing that society cares about the female body, right? Sorry to break it to you, wrong. Society doesn't care about women's health and how women feel inside. Society just cares about how a woman looks on the outside. For women, it's mostly about appearance. Doctors don't care about the female organs, hormones, and issues that affect women's lives, energy, or ability to function in the world. I'm going to give you a very simple example. When it comes to women's hormonal issues, whether it is PCOS, endometriosis, mood swings, acne, or irregular cycles, the standard response is always the same. Take birth controls and lose a few pounds. It's treated like a one-size-fits-all magic pill, even though it doesn't fix the root cause. It just masks some symptoms and most of the time creates lots of other problems. Doctors don't know much about female body. Meanwhile, for men, a single issue, like erectile dysfunction, gets an entire pharmaceutical buffet. There are countless versions of Viagra and its generics, tailored dose, rapid release formula, weekend pills, you name it. One male problem, and the market explodes with research and solutions. Thousands of female problems, one prescription, and that's not even a cure. How many of you have walked into a doctor's office in pain, only to be told it's in your head? Or it's because you are stressed, depressed, emotional, lazy, or you just need to lose a few pounds? Raise your hand, because I know I'm not the only one. I've lived it. For years, I knew something was off in my body, and for years, I was misdiagnosed from having cancer to just being fat, ignored, or flat out told to just work out more. I wasn't lazy. I wasn't exaggerating. I was dealing with a real medical condition that no one took seriously. Why? Because I was a woman. And the most frustrating part, no real answers. The solutions were still wrapped in shame and silence. No follow-up, no education, no compassion. Just pills, and more reasons to question myself. I'm sure you are thinking, how are these connected to our body image and our identity in our 40s, right? Oh, it's all tied together. Because when society doesn't bother to understand the female body, when they reduce every issue we have to calories in, calories out, when they build industries of our insecurities without ever addressing our real needs and problems, they are not helping us. They are profiting from our pain. They don't want us healthy. They want us constantly almost okay. Just insecure enough to keep buying. Just tired enough not to fight back or question anything. Just confused enough to believe it's our fault. And here is what I've realized. A woman who knows her body, who understands her pain, who stops blaming herself, is powerful. Too powerful for a system that thrives on women's silence and confusion. So no, it's not a coincidence that we are judged for our bodies and ignored when our body is in pain. It is a business model. And we are done being the product the moment we have self-awareness in this business. Let's get to our 30s, when aging becomes a crime for women. Welcome to your 30s, where every birthday candle feels like a warning flare. Not because you feel old, but because the world starts treating you like you are on borrowed time. The whispers start. Better freeze your eggs. Clock is ticking. Have you tried this eye cream? It's a miracle. You are not getting any younger, you know. As if aging is something we are supposed to apologize for. Suddenly, we are expecting to race against nature. Have a baby now or risk regret forever. Advance your career, but don't look like you have been working too hard. Stay useful, fresh, glowing, but still serious, accomplished, and financially independent. Every wrinkle is a flaw. Every missed fertility window is a personal failure. And every choice we make, baby, promotion, marriage, freedom, filler, forehead lines, gets picked apart and judged. Meanwhile, let's talk about the men, because society seems to think aging improves them. A man with gray hair is distinguished. A woman with gray hair is letting herself go. Men get called silver foxes. We get rude touch-up reminders and unsolicited advice about looking tired. Apparently, men age into power while women age into war. Why do we let society do this to us? And again, who profits from this pressure? The anti-aging industry, the fertility clinics, the supplement companies, the plastic surgeons, all men. And just like in our 20s, we are still the target market for fixing a problem that doesn't exist. Aging isn't the problem. The shame wrapped around it is. The panic, the urgency, the unrealistic view of life. But here is the truth. There is nothing wrong with getting older. What's wrong is being told we are less valuable because of it. Our 30s should be about growing into our power, not shrinking under pressure. But no one makes money off a woman who feels good in her skin. So they sell us the opposite. And for far too long, we have been buying it. And now here we are in our 40s, where the magic and no BS begins. I really believe that our 40s is the crossroads decade to reclaim or spiral. The decade where the stakes are real and the choice is ours. Because here's the truth. No one prints on any anti-aging cream boxes. Either we use the wisdom we have gained through decades to break this sick societal game on our bodies at this decade, or we stay trapped in it until death, fighting a losing battle with time, suffocating under shame, and watching our joy get swallowed by a mirror that was never made for us in the first place. This decade, it's not about chasing youth. It's about choosing truth. Because if we don't reclaim our body image now, not the one society sold us, but the one we define for ourselves, we risk spending the next 20 years in a war we didn't choose, with an enemy that profits from every ounce of our insecurity. The 40s aren't about giving up, they are about waking up. This is the moment to stop measuring our worth by elasticity, weight, or symmetry, and start measuring our lives by something real. What we have survived, what we have learned, focusing on the meaning of life, aging, our time on the planet Earth, and some existential questions. We have spent decades looking at ourselves through society's lens. It's time to toss that lens in the trash. It's time to pick up the mirror and see ourselves fully, kindly, powerfully. Because our bodies are not problems to solve. They are stories, they are testimonies. They are sacred homes for our lived experience that we will leave behind in this world when we die. Sooner or later, there is an end for this chapter of life on the earth. This is the decade we stop chasing someone else's idea of beauty and start defining our meanings. We build our body image not on perfection, but on peace. Not on fantasy, but freedom. We are not asking, do they approve anymore? We are asking, do I feel good in this skin? So the question isn't, how do I stop aging? The real question is, where am I going in this body? And is it taking me there? This is the decade we trade shame for freedom. The people-pleasing era is over. The shrinking is over. We are done contorting ourselves for compliments and crushing ourselves under judgment. Yeah, I love a good serum. Yeah, I take care of my body as much as I can. Yeah, I want to preserve my best self for as long as realistically possible. But now, whatever I do it for me and however it pleases me. And here's the important part. It seems like we finally start defining our body image by our standards in our 40s, not the world's. We are not here to be palatable. We We are not chasing approval from men who age like patio furniture and still think they are top shelves. We have wasted too many years trying to meet their gaze. Now we look in the mirror and see someone we respect, not because she is flawless, but because she is real, resilient, and finally herself. Each decade stacked another layer: girlhood, desire, pressure, performance, and now in our 40s, we finally get to peel back these layers. We stop treating our bodies like problems to solve and start honoring them as proof that we have lived, endured, and grown. And they are one part of this journey on Earth that we will finally leave behind. So ask yourself, how much of my body image has been shaped by what others wanted from me? What do I want to feel in my own skin now? What rules about my appearance am I still following that no longer serves me? If I saw my body as a map of everything I've survived so far, how would that change the way I treat it? What is the point of all this? Life, aging, and this changing body? In our 40s, we are done playing. This body is ours now, to honor, to live in, to love, on our terms. Next time you look in the mirror, don't look for flaws. Look for life. Look for meaning. If any of this resonates with your own experience, or if you see body image through a different lens, I would love to hear from you. Am I missing a perspective on how women relate to their bodies? What do you see when you look in the mirror? That's all for today's conversation. In the next episode, we will wrap up our exploration of the question, who am I now in my 40s? This concluding episode will tie together all the layers of identity we have been unpacking over the past few episodes. Our roles, families, beliefs, memories, body, and experiences into what we call the self. Understanding oneself is the first step toward understanding the world around us. Because the meaning we give to the world comes from within. And with this question, who am I? See you all in the next episode.